This is the presentation for donations to school districts for Public School Finance, Summer Session 1, 2014. Good afternoon, I'm Ashley Chohlis, and I'll be presenting the PowerPoint on donations to school districts. Donations to school districts come from various sources. They can come from individuals, groups, foundations, companies, and vendors. Many teachers and students and community members are donors to our districts. They may donate individually or in groups for specified or unspecified reasons. Many districts have set up school foundations to promote donations. Companies may donate to districts for a tax break, and vendors may donate to districts to promote their products. The first lesson about donations is that they must be accounted for. Regardless of where a donation comes from, it must be accounted for as revenue and a budget must be created, along with line items to be used. If the donation is an inventory-controlled item, it must be cataloged and tracked just as if the district purchased it with district funds. I'll tell you a story about how I learned that the hard way. When I was Director of Student Services, I oversaw social services, and we had been downsized. We were moving to a much smaller building than what we had had previously, and we had to sort through our things. We had things like toothbrushes, toothpaste, clothes, jackets, and someone had donated very generously a very large kitchen table. One of the secretaries asked if she could purchase the kitchen table, and thinking that it was a great solution to our problem of limited space, I went ahead and sold her the kitchen table for $150. The $150 I then tried to deposit, of course, with our social services donation money through our finance department. They immediately called me and asked that I please get the table back and give her check back, because we cannot do that. We cannot sell something that was donated to the district without going through the processes through our warehouse and through finance, where they determine a price for the table, and then it goes up for auction, and then it's sold, and everyone has an opportunity to purchase the item. So I had to get the table back, give her money back. Of course, I was not intentionally trying to do something illegal, but I did find out very quickly that it was illegal, and we had to rectify that situation. Of course, we had put it in the memo for donated kitchen table purchase, and so of course finance caught it. Thank goodness they're there to catch us whenever we make a mistake like that. Are donations necessary? On one hand, some of our donations really do assist with students and basic necessities. Through our social services department, funds pay for things like dish detergent, clothing detergent, money for hotels for homeless families. They pay for coats, jeans, shoes, underwear, socks, things that students may not have if it weren't for donations to our social services department. Donations can also help the district with unfunded mandates. On one hand, donations could be considered necessary. On the other, donations could provide enrichments and for things that are outside of a basic educational need. For example, enrichments. Our school foundation gives out mini grants to teachers who write mini grants. There's a committee, they review them, they have to go along with the educational purpose in the district at the time, whatever our hot points are. It could be science, could be math, could be reading. Committees determine which teachers get the grants, and some teachers might write for iPads and say they get 6 iPads for their classroom. They may, through the district, already be able to check out iPads, but these iPads are for use in their classroom specifically. So that's an enrichment. And is that a necessity? I don't know. I probably would not call that a necessity. Donations for things outside of education, for example, to our football program. We had a very generous individual donate a tunnel, a blow-up tunnel, big helmet with our logo on it for the football team to run through at the beginning of our football games. Now, is that a necessity? I would argue that it's not a necessity, but it was a donation, and of course, we're very grateful for it. So, are donations necessary for school districts to provide an adequate education for students? I think that it really depends. On one hand, donations can assist students without basic needs to get the things that they need. Donations can also provide districts with assistance for unfunded mandates. So, in those cases, then yeah, I would kind of say that yes, donations are necessary funds. On the other hand, donations can provide enrichment. Donations can provide for things outside of the basic education. And I'll give some examples. We have homeless families in our district, and through our Social Services Special Needs Fund, we're able to assist those families with hotel rooms, maybe for a night or two before they get into a shelter. So those kinds of things, whenever I think about, is that a necessary assistance? Well, yes, because the kids need to know that they're going to have somewhere to sleep that night in order to be able to be at school and functioning in the classroom. So I would call those types of things, a necessity. Now, we had a very generous donor who donated the funds to purchase a very large blow-up helmet for the football team to run through before football games. Do I think that that's necessary? It's very nice. We love it. It promotes school spirit. But do I think it's necessary? I do not think that it's necessary to provide a basic education to students. So necessary on one hand, I think that yes, some donations are necessary. And on the other hand, I think that some donations are unnecessary to provide a basic education. My answer to whether or not donations are a necessity is that it totally depends on the situation. Children absolutely need food, shelter, clothing, clean living conditions, all of those things to learn. So absolutely, in those cases, I would say that donations are a necessity. For the extras, the extra iPads, the extra computers, a nicer playscape, extra PE equipment, maybe not. I'm going to go with that is donations for those types of things are probably not a necessity. As far as a discussion about educational efficiency, I do believe that the funds are a necessity in cases where students' basic needs would be met in no other way. When a student's basic needs aren't met, we would all agree, and research proves that learning is minimal, if at all. In such cases that the extra money is spent on students in those situations, the more he or she learns. So I would definitely argue educational efficiency. It doesn't cost the government anything. It doesn't cost the district anything. It's something that is given by our community members to the district to make sure that every child is successful in their educational endeavors. Intent of funds. Donors may specify the intended use of the funds or property they're donating. The district is obligated to adhere to their specifications, and in the event that the donor does not specify an intended use, the district is responsible to use the funds wisely. And there are a number of ways that can be done. In our district, there are a number of approvers whenever money is donated, and it's in the line items, especially in our Social Services Special Needs Fund. Those types of expenditures are approved by 4 different people, and specific questions are asked about is it a legitimate need and other things to make sure that it falls in line with our educational goals and all of those things that are necessary whenever we expend funds. There are rules, of course, there are always rules. The board may accept any gift of money or property on behalf of the district that's valued at $5,000 or greater. The superintendent may accept gifts on behalf of of the district that is valued or are valued under $5,000. The gift, of course, becomes the sole property of the district. Gifts must be given to the district and not a particular school. At the discretion of the superintendent, however, the gifts may be used in a particular program. Now, I'm not going to say that monies might be donated and specified for use at a grade level for a specific need, and then obviously in our district, which is a smaller district, it would be it would go to a specific campus. So it's not that it can't, but it can't be. You have to be careful about how you go about doing that. Now, before the superintendent can accept gifts or recommend that the board accept gifts, the superintendent has to make sure that the gifts have a purpose that is consistent with the district purpose. They can place no restrictions on the school program, and they don't require the endorsement of a business product. They don't conflict with policies or actions of the board or public law, and they don't require district maintenance. So if someone wants to donate something that would require us to do a whole lot as far as maintenance, probably not going to be something that we would want to accept. Our district uses donated items and funding as specified by the donor. Donations through our social services department are utilized for homeless students who are McKinney-Vento approved, basically, who qualify for McKinney-Vento. They're utilized for students who have a need, some of our parenting students, or students who are very economically disadvantaged. Again, those funds are approved through several administrators to determine the legitimacy of need and whether or not it's something that we've done in the past or something that we should set precedents for doing in the future. Again, in our district, we have the East Central School Foundation, which raises money for our district. People make donations to our district through the school foundation. There is a board of directors for the foundation. They follow the Open Meetings Act. They only act when there's a quorum. They have no power individually, but only as a group. They're the ones who approve mini grants or select the teachers for mini grants that teachers must apply for. And those grants are generally for enrichment programs and, again, must fall in line with initiatives through the district that the district has set forth as areas of need. Something that I found interesting as I did research on donations is that districts can also be donors. Districts can donate land, real property, items that are no longer utilized by the district. As long as they follow the law and board policy, districts can also give to charter schools. They can give to other entities, other governmental entities, and to nonprofit organizations. But again, they have to follow the law and board policy, and all the research has to be done to make sure that we're doing what we should be according to the law and board policy. All money has a code. The budget code in our district for donations is 49X. The revenue code for donations is 5744, and depending on the specified use of the funds, the appropriate function code would apply. So in other words, if the funds were for supplies, then, to be used in the classroom, then it would be function 11. In conclusion, donations can be made by just about anyone for just about anything. It's up to the district administration and school board to make sure that those funds or specifications made by the donors are in line with district goals, board policy and the laws are followed, and that students are getting what they need from the donations that are given to the district. Whether it's for basic needs or educational enrichment, we're grateful to have it, and we always hope to use every dollar to help students be as successful as possible in their education at school every single day. Thank you so much for listening, and best wishes to you all.